Chapter 341. To offer. 2. I'm toying with you right now. This bastard, toying with me? Pain and anger intertwined, causing Tang clan leader Tang In-hei's face to twist terribly. No matter how much of an enemy Mok Jiongun was, since he had become a supreme master comparable to the six heavens, Tang In-hei thought he would keep his word. At the very least, if he said he would give an opportunity, Tang In-hei believed he would follow through, but that was a miscalculation. From the beginning, Mok Jiongun had humiliated him, so it was crystal clear what he would do. Due to his thighs being severed and his legs cut off, the bleeding was so severe that dizziness threatened to overcome him in an instant. Grip. Tang In-hei gritted his teeth and quickly applied pressure to his thighs to stop the bleeding. As the blood slightly clotted from pressing on the acupuncture points, Tang In-hei shouted in a rage-filled voice. As a martial artist, can't you even keep your own words? Due to past events, he wasn't in a position to argue about cowardice in the first place, so he knew there was a flaw in his statement. This was simply to provoke Mok Jiongun. With that level of martial arts after surpassing the wall, even without two legs he could still confront an enemy with just his arms, but that was only possible against inferiors. Since he was already at a disadvantage, he needed to lure Mok Jiongun to approach him. Cowardly bastard. You have no pride as a martial artist. Tang In-hei continued shouting while glaring at Mok Jiongun. Come on. Come at me. It was at that very moment. Stab. Ugh. Something penetrated his severed thigh. Even though he had stopped the bleeding, touching an already painful area was bound to be agonizing. Unable to endure the pain, Tang In-hei twisted his entire body. Damn it. What the hell did he do? Looking at the penetrated part above his thigh, there was a blood-soaked coin. Finger-flicking divine technique? Finger-flicking divine technique. It was a technique that utilized something like a hidden weapon by flicking it with one's fingers. Faced with Mok Jiongun's response, not falling for his provocation at all, Tang In-hei gritted his teeth and tried to endure the agony somehow. Mok Jiongun spoke to him. You're already trapped prey, so you think I'll listen to your babbling? Flip. With those words, Mok Jiongun flicked his fingers again. Stab. Ugh. Another coin penetrated the opposite side of Tang In-hei's thigh. Tang In-hei bit his lips tightly to endure the pain, but unable to withstand the agony, his body trembled. Seeing his state, the 8-poison snake staff Gyeong Sao, who could be considered his lifelong rival, couldn't help but feel pity. How did he end up like this? Although he was belligerent, the young Tang In-hei also had an ambitious side. However, after losing his father, the previous clan leader, and taking over as the new leader, he gradually changed, and aspects that Gyeong Sao hadn't seen before emerged. Was it the passage of time and various hardships that had changed him so? Clicking his tongue, Gyeong Sao soon turned his head. Anyway, young Master Mok won't fall for Tang In-hei's provocation. Anger clouds the judgment of even the wisest sage. But Mok Jiongun wasn't someone who would fall for such tricks, so there was no need to worry. Except for one thing. It can't be, right? It was quite ambiguous when he intervened between them. He only hoped that they hadn't exchanged a single palm strike at that time. The formless poison was perfect among all existing poisons, so there was no antidote, and once poisoned, the situation was over. Stab. Thep. Thep. Arg. Tang In-hei writhed in pain as Mok Jiongun's finger-flicking divine technique continued relentlessly. For someone known as one of the 8 stars, the top masters of the martial arts world, his state was utterly miserable. What's going on? Writhing in agony, Tang In-hei grew impatient. That's because he wondered when the reaction would come. He had definitely received the formless poison technique's sweeping strike earlier. Even if it wasn't direct detoxification, once contact was made, the formless poison would quickly penetrate through the skin and invade the body. But he couldn't understand why there was still no reaction. Is the formless poison also affected by internal energy? Even Jang Mun-no, the old man who could be considered almost on par with the 8 stars, couldn't withstand the formless poison despite reaching the realm of a poison master. Even that bastard who had chased after him to interfere was the same. Wasn't he even given the title of one of the 8 stars? Even those individuals couldn't endure for long. So if one had surpassed the wall's wall and reached a realm comparable to the 6 heavens, was it different? Could it be that he blocked the formless poison from invading his body with his profound true energy? Seeing no reaction until now, there was no other explanation. Just how profound must one's true energy be to block the formless poison from invading? Nash. Then enduring it like this wouldn't solve anything. He had to somehow make the bastard directly detoxify the formless poison to turn the situation around. Thus, Tang In-hei decided to take a risk, even if it was somewhat dangerous. Haha. Jiang Mo. That old man, raised, a truly trashy bastard. As soon as he finished speaking, Mok Jiangun, who had been flicking his fingers, stopped. Thinking that he had nothing to lose, Tang In-hei immediately continued speaking when he saw a reaction. Why? Did the clan leader, say something wrong? Well, a maggot, who coveted our clan's martial arts, without knowing his place, and grew up under him, is no different. A maggot and trash. Whoosh. Shudder. At that moment, the tremendous killing intent surging in all directions rendered Tang In-hei unable to continue speaking. Although he had deliberately provoked him, what was this? How could killing intent be this intense? It felt like death was right beside him. Huff, huff, huff. Even breathing became difficult. The bastard's anger was palpable. But then, swish. Tang In-hei's body slowly floated upward due to Mok Jiangun's true energy. It was the seizing objects in mid-air technique. Feeling the true energy constricting and pressuring his body, Tang In-hei momentarily unleashed his rebound energy to repel it. Boom. Thud. Falling to the ground with a thud, Tang In-hei gritted his teeth. Had he been enduring humiliation and simply taking the finger-flicking divine technique all this time? While waiting for the formless poison to spread, he also aimed to recover some of his true energy depleted from fighting Guiyang Sao. Even if you're a step above me, I've also surpassed the wall. Even if he tried to restrain him with true energy, he could break free to this extent. If he truly wanted to capture him, he would have to come in person. Just as he thought that. Tremble. At that moment, Tang In-hei felt his entire skin, no, his flesh, trembling like crazy. Was he going to use seizing objects in midair again? He should know it's useless. Boom. It was at that instant. His body suddenly flew backward as if it were a cannonball. It happened in the blink of an eye, and as soon as he felt his body flying, the surroundings he had seen passed by in a blur. Crash. Ugh. He collided with something with his back, and along with the sound of it shattering, numerous figures appeared around him. Upon seeing those figures, Tang In-hei couldn't hide his bewilderment. They were none other than the executives and warriors of the Tang clan. Clan leader. Clan leader. Calls for him resounded from all around. Quickly scanning his surroundings, Tang In-hei realized that he had somehow arrived at the rear courtyard in front of the back gate of the Tang clan. He sent me flying here before I could even release my true energy? Ha! He was truly a monster, enough to elicit exclamations even if he was an enemy. But then an immense pressure was felt behind his back. Tang In-hei instinctively knew that Mok Jiangun was standing behind him. The distance wasn't that close yet. He needed to get within 10 steps to unleash the secret technique that could definitively detoxify the formless poison. I need to provoke him. Tang In-hei bit his lip tightly. He hadn't expected the bastard to send him flying to the Tang clan. He was already feeling guilty for not fulfilling his duties as the clan leader and attempting to flee by abandoning his clan members. But being dropped in the midst of them, he couldn't bring himself to open his mouth. At that moment, how dare you do this to the clan leader? While everyone was rendered speechless by Mok Jiangun's immense pressure, someone shouted courageously. It was none other than Tang Qiuyong, the deputy clan leader of the Tang clan. As Tang In-hei's right-hand man, Tang Qiuyong was deeply loyal, so he barely suppressed his fear and spoke up. With hundreds of people gathered, one person's courage was enough to ignite a small flame in the hearts of others. Swish, swish, flang, flang. The Tang clan warriors soon assumed their stances and drew their weapons. Having already witnessed Mok Jiangun's monstrous power with their own eyes, they couldn't shout arrogantly, but they could still muster the resolve to risk their lives in this way. Seeing this, Tang In-hei's eyes and lips trembled. Damn it! He had ruthlessly abandoned them for his own greed. Yet they were drawing their weapons and mustering courage for him without any suspicion. No matter how selfish he was, he couldn't help but be shaken by that sight. Grip. It would have been much easier if they had hated him. But then Mok Jiangun's voice reached his ears. Unlike someone, they are very loyal. Someone ran away with their tail between their legs, abandoning all their clan members to save themselves. They've been together for so long, yet they don't even know what kind of person their clan leader is. How unfortunate. Nash. Tang In-hei gritted his teeth so hard that his molars nearly cracked. The karmic consequences of his actions were coming back to him like fate, but he wanted to somehow stop it. At the very least, he wanted to remain as the Sichuan Tang clan leader in their eyes, not in a humiliating state. This rumble. Tang clan leader Tang In-hei circulated his true energy throughout his body and drew upon the power of the formless poison technique. He decided not to wait for the bastard to approach him. He was determined not to think about turning the tables or anything like that anymore. He just wanted to kill this bastard. Swish. At that moment, Tang In-hei's eyes trembled. Mok Jiangun was already standing behind Tang Qiuyong, who could be considered his right-hand man. Gulp. Deputy clan leader Tang Qiuyong swallowed dry saliva. No matter how vast the gap in martial arts, there was no way he couldn't sense the overwhelming pressure from behind. Swish. Then Mok Jiangun lightly grasped the back of his neck. Nevertheless, Tang Qiuyong couldn't move an inch from that spot. Tang In-hei hurriedly shouted. Stop. Stop what? Please. Please take your hand off Qiuyong. I will pay any price. Just don't do it this way. What price do you have to pay? At Mok Jiangun's words, Tang clan leader Tang In-hei's face turned pale. Was this bastard trying to make him confess everything with his own mouth? Grip. Blood flowed from Tang In-hei's clenched fists as he applied more force. The damn bastard was trying to send him to the depths of hell. It was at that very moment. From now on, all the tragedies that befall the Tang clan will be the fault of a single person. Crack. Crunch. Fistop. Arc. Rip. Crunch. The scream abruptly ceased as deputy clan leader Tang Qiuyong's head was torn off along with his spine. Chapter 342. To offer 3. It was something no one had anticipated. For a moment, the hall fell into silence at the sight of the deputy clan leader Tang Qiuyong's head being torn off along with his spine. Although injuries and deaths were commonplace in the martial arts world, there was at least a line that shouldn't be crossed. Most people couldn't hide their shock at the cruel act that was too gruesome to witness with open eyes, and some even began vomiting, unable to endure it. Blurg. This cruelty. The silence caused by the shock was broken, but the surroundings were in turmoil. Seeing their reaction, Mok Jiangun smiled and swung Tang Qiuyong's head, which had been ripped off along with his spine, like a toy, saying, "You have weak stomachs, it seems. Vomiting at just this much." Speaking as if he had no emotion, the Tang clan warriors couldn't help but click their tongues. How could he do this while wearing a human mask? At that moment, a Tang clan warrior couldn't hold back and stepped forward, shouting, "Stop this at once. I don't know what grudge you have against our clan, but how can you do this as a human being?" Swish. Huh. At that moment, the Tang clan warrior couldn't finish his sentence. Mok Jiangun, who had been in front of him, had suddenly disappeared, and he felt a touch on his shoulder. "Why did you stop speaking? Please continue." It was said that it was difficult to even breathe when under extreme tension. The Tang clan warrior's breathing became rough, and he couldn't utter a single word. The hand on his shoulder playfully moved towards his neck, and the image of deputy clan leader Tang Qiuyong's neck being ripped off repeatedly flashed in his mind. I'm going to die." As fear of death gripped him, his face gradually turned ashen. Huff. Huff. "You're wasting the courage you mustered." Mok Jiangun's hand, shrugging his shoulders, soon reached for the warrior's neck. Whoosh. At that moment, someone leaped behind Mok Jiangun to launch a sneak attack. It was Tang Suwu, one of the Tang clan's executives and a supreme master of the Transcendent Realm, ranked among the top 5 within the clan. Knowing that he couldn't do anything in a direct confrontation against this monster, he had been waiting for an opportunity to arise. By chance, Mok Jiangun had approached within just 8 steps. He couldn't miss this opportunity. Die. Suppressing his presence to the maximum, Tang Suwu unleashed his most powerful poisonous art technique. Absolute Poison 8 Palms 7th Stance. Rising Domineering Poison Flash. The Sichuan Tang clan had a poisonous martial art known as the 4 Great Poison Techniques. One of them was the absolute poison 8 palms, and the last 3 stances were high-level techniques that could instantly subdue and kill the opponent. Swish swish swish. Tang Suwu's hands swiftly targeted the vital acupuncture points on Mok Jiongun's back, accompanied by afterimages. Even when his hands were about to make contact, Mok Jaeun showed no signs of noticing. Could he really kill a supreme master comparable to the 6 heavens with his own hands? Grab. Ack. Tang Suwu's eyes wavered. Mok Jaeungun was already looking at him and grasping his neck. Wchuen. He was utterly bewildered. He was so fast that Tang Suwu couldn't even perceive his movements. Was this the realm of extreme speed movement that only those who had reached the realm of lightness skill could achieve? I need to break free first. He was in the midst of unleashing a sweeping strike, so regardless of his neck being grabbed, he just needed to continue. Grip. Ugh. Coincidentally, the moment his neck was grabbed like everyone else, the imprint left by Deputy Clan Leader Tang Cheol-young's death made him prioritize breaking free. Let go. Hover. You're a nuisance. What? Slice. Ack. Mok Jaeungun severed Tang Suwu's right arm, which was trying to break free, with a sword hand strike imbued with predestined energy. The same happened to his other left arm. Slice. Tang Suwu, with both arms severed, couldn't endure the pain and screamed like a madman. Arg. Thud. However, his scream didn't last long. Mok Jaeungun tightly grasped his neck, rendering him unable to scream. Ugh. Why did you act recklessly when your turn would have come soon even without making a fuss? Crunch. At that moment, Tang Suwu's neck, grasped by Mok Jaeungun's hand, was torn off and his head rolled on the ground. Blood gushed like a fountain from his headless body, drenching Mok Jaeungun's hair and face. Mok Jaeungun swept back his blood-soaked hair and licked his lips with his tongue. Slurp. Did he find the taste of blood enjoyable? The corners of Mok Jaeungun's mouth curled up. His appearance was so chilling that the Tang clan warriors, who had mustered some courage, turned pale and lost their words. Some couldn't even breathe properly due to the immense fear. As he gazed at them one by one, they all lowered their heads, unable to make eye contact. Mok Jaeungun's overwhelming pressure had reached its peak. It seems no one else has the courage to step forward. Then, since doing it one by one might take all night, should I reduce the head count a bit? Swish. Mok Jaeungun grasped his sword fingers and raised his arm, causing everyone to be puzzled. It was at that very moment. Rumble. A vicious energy arose from his sword fingers, and a black sword energy formed the shape of a sword. The length of the sword energy instantly soared to nearly 4 jang, and the eyes of the Tang clan warriors trembled like crazy upon seeing it. Impossible. What kind of energy is that? They were all martial artists, so they possessed energy perception. Their shock stemmed from the fact that the energy flowing from that black sword was enough to astound the heavens and shake the earth. How many among those present could block or withstand that sword energy? Just a single swing of it would claim the lives of countless Tang clan warriors. Then, starting from the east side. Stop. The moment Mok Jaeungun was about to swing the sword energy, Tang clan leader Tang In-hae shouted at the top of his lungs. Thanks to that, everyone's attention was momentarily drawn to him. Of course, Mok Jaeungun was no exception. Did you say to stop? Please stop. Tang In-hae spoke to Mok Jaeungun in a pleading voice. In response, Mok Jaeungun sneered and replied, "You should know that begging doesn't hold much meaning. If you want me to stop, make me stop directly." With those words, Mok Jaeungun pretended to swing the black sword energy towards the east side again. Run. Ah. The Tang clan warriors within the range of the east side panicked and leaped away, trying to escape the radius. Seeing that, Tang clan leader Tang In-hae shouted again. They are truly innocent. Please, if you are a strong one, show mercy to them with your magnanimity. All of this is something I alone have done. So end it with just me. Perhaps motivated by the sight of their clan leader crawling on the ground with his legs severed, begging, some of the frightened Tang clan warriors cried out. Clan leader. How can you surrender to the enemy? No matter what you have done, we believe in you, clan leader. Warriors of the great Tang clan. Do not fear and be prepared to die. At that moment, thud. Mok Jaeungun suddenly stomped his foot. The vibrations spread from the point of impact to the surroundings. Rumble. Just as they wondered what he had done, The Tang clan warriors who had been trying to boost morale for their clan leader suddenly started screaming in terror as if they had gone mad. Arg. Stop. Please. Please stop. Ah. What's happening? Why are they suddenly acting like this? Those around them tried to restrain them, wondering about the unknown abnormal symptoms. At that moment, slice. Suddenly one of them drew a weapon and slit his own throat. What the hell? The Tang clan warriors who had been trying to stop him were bewildered by his abnormal behavior. However, he wasn't the only one. Stab. One of those who had been screaming stabbed his own eye with his finger. Someone else, as if he had gone insane, rolled his eyes back and started banging his head against the ground. Ha ha ha. Thud. 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 Even with several people trying to stop him, it was futile. He banged his head so hard that it shattered and brain matter flowed out. Eek. Rip rip. Some even clawed at their own flesh, tearing off their skin. Stop. I said stop. Please get these things off me. They acted as if something had attached to their entire body. Although only about 10 people displayed these abnormal behaviors, the Tang clan warriors fell into chaos at the sight of them harming and killing themselves like mentally deranged individuals. They weren't even poisoned, so what kind of bizarre phenomenon was this? Tang clan leader Tang In-hei shouted with trembling eyes. What have you done? Well, from what I see it looks like they are harming and killing themselves. You. Does that even make sense? It was clear that they suddenly changed like madmen after he stomped his foot. What on earth did he do? Then a transmitted voice resonated in his ears. It would be fun to have the Tang clan members kill each other in a bloodbath at this point. It would be a delightful sight to see blood relatives slaughtering one another. Judging by his smiling face, he was genuinely enjoying this. Was this bastard a demon who had ascended from hell? How could he orchestrate something like this? At most he had only killed that damn old man who had raised him, yet he was on the verge of miserably annihilating the entire main clan. Mok Jiongun smiled at him and slightly raised his foot, transmitting a message. Do you also want to see? Before the message could even finish. Yes. I killed Jiang Munno, the one who raised you. As Tang clan leader Tang In-hei's shout echoed throughout, the entire Tang clan fell into silence. The Tang clan warriors looked at him with shocked expressions. After all, there was no one among them who didn't know that Jiang Munno was from a branch family of the Tang clan. But he killed him? What was this about? As they wondered, Tang In-hei continued with a trembling voice. Yisong, the one with a special power. To obtain that child, I revealed the hidden location of the Holy Fire Priestess. No, that old woman of the Yi clan from the Fire Faith Order, to have her captured by the palace. I killed Jiang Munno with the formless poison, and I intended to kill you in the same way. Murmur murmur. Soon the hall that had been silent began to stir. Clan leader. Why are you doing this? You're lying to save us. Some of the loyal executives and warriors of the Tang clan tried to deny it, but, it's all true. I even tried to abandon all the clan members here and flee to the Righteous Alliance with only Yisong when you appeared and fought against the Supreme Master of the Yu clan who was protecting our clan, fearing that I might die. The carriage outside is proof of that. As soon as he finished speaking, the eyes of the Tang clan members, once filled with trust, gradually turned cold. How could such words come out of the mouth of a martial clan leader? Grip. Faced with their changing gazes, Tang clan leader Tang In-hei gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. Isn't this what you really wanted, you bastard? To reveal the ugly secrets I had hidden and walk the path of ruin. Chapter 343. To offer for. Murmur murmur. The hall of the Sichuan Tang clan was in turmoil. It was due to the sudden revelation of Tang clan leader Tang In-hei's ugly secrets. This truth, confessed by his own mouth, shocked the Tang clan members, who trusted each other more than anyone else as a clan of a single bloodline. Although everyone in the Tang clan had kept silent due to the oppression against the Fire Faith Order and the unfavorable gaze of the Central Plains people, the Yi clan was their branch family. Therefore, even if they couldn't openly protect them, they had kept their secrets as a way to support their clan's branch family. But the clan leader reported this? It was the Tang clan that had arranged a hiding place for the surviving Yi clan members. That hiding place was a secret shelter secretly utilized by the Tang clan. However, upon hearing the news that the Yi clan had been discovered and captured by the Imperial Army, they had been puzzled. Moreover, killing Zhang Munno. Zhang Munno of the Heong sect. He was the one who had gained the greatest reputation among the branch family members. Although not well known to the people of the Central Plains, his talent in poison techniques was also remarkable, so he had received teachings from Tang Yunzhang, the Thousand Poison Hands, the clan leader from 2 generations ago. What a pity. It would have been great if he were from the main family, not the branch family. Tang Yunzhang, the clan leader from 2 generations ago, often expressed his regret that Zhang Munno was from the branch family, not the main family, due to his outstanding talent in poisons. Because of this, due to the jealousy of the previous clan leader and the main family members eligible for succession, not long after Tang Yunzhang's passing, Zhang Munno was expelled from the Tang clan for an incomprehensible reason. Knowing this fact, he finally caused trouble. The Tang clan members couldn't help but click their tongues at Zhang Munno's death. However, what disappointed them the most was, the clan leader tried to abandon us? How could the clan leader do that? How could a leader? The fact that he had tried to abandon all the Tang clan members and flee alone. If it had come from someone else's mouth, it might have been different, but since he had confessed it himself, the disappointment was indescribable. Because of this, the gazes of the Tang clan members towards clan leader Tang In-hei were growing cold. However, not everyone agreed with this. Everyone calm down. You don't really believe these words, do you? That's right. The clan leader is employing a desperate measure to save us. Don't fall for the enemy's trick. There were also those who defended the clan leader until the end. They were the direct descendants of the Tang clan's main family. Unlike the branch families or side families, they were the ones with a closer blood relationship, so they believed this sudden confession by the clan leader was a desperate measure. Therefore, they stepped forward to defend the clan leader in order to prevent the Tang clan members from being divided. It didn't matter whether those words were true or not. They had to prevent the division at all costs. However, then how do you explain the carriage? A warrior from the Tang clan's side family stepped forward and asked. When the decisive evidence was brought up, some of those defending him were at a loss for words. Everything else was just words, but there was no room for excuses when it came to the clan leader's personal carriage being outside. That's right. If the main family is in crisis, why did he ride the carriage and leave? Exactly. If this is a desperate measure, how do you explain that? How could the clan leader think of abandoning all the clan members and fleeing alone? Once it started, the complaints poured out like a flood. Unable to refute the matter of the carriage, the direct descendants of the main family quickly changed the subject. Are you really going to fall for the enemy's trick? The truth of the clan leader's words is not important right now. That's right. If we are divided, it will be as the enemy wants. Everyone calm down. However, their words only fueled the anger. What do you mean the truth is not important? The clan leader tried to abandon all the clan members and flee. So what trick did the enemy play here? Come to think of it, most of the direct descendants, including the young clan leader, are currently at the Righteous Alliance, aren't they? Seems like those from the branch families and side families are not part of the Tang clan. As complaints and anger erupted from all around, the direct descendants were at a loss. Coincidentally, the fact that a significant number of the direct descendants were dispatched to the Righteous Alliance only worsened the situation. How? Tang clan leader Tang In-hei's eyes wavered at the accelerating division. Although it was true that he had tried to abandon them and flee if he was going to die anyway, he had intended to sacrifice himself for the first time to save the Tang clan members. But how did it come to this? The Tang clan members, who had prided themselves on being closer than any other group as a martial clan consisting of a single bloodline, were divided into the main family, side families, and branch families. Clan leader Tang In-hei bit his lip tightly and glared at Mok Jiangun. Was this also intentional? Or was it something that had been building up and erupted with this opportunity, regardless of his intentions? Whatever it was, the confession he had made to sacrifice himself was leading to the worst situation. At this rate, even after his death, the division within the Tang clan might continue. Just like a crack in a teacup gradually grows and eventually shatters. What have I done? It seemed his decision was wrong. He had thought he should do the right thing one last time, unable to bear witnessing the deaths of the Tang clan members in front of his eyes, but his choice was wrong. I should have fought the bastard to the end and died. Then none of this would have happened. Even if the fact that he had tried to flee was revealed in the end, he would have remained as the clan leader who had sacrificed himself for the clan members. But it was too late. He had confessed the secret with his own mouth, so what could he do now? It wasn't something that could be taken back just because he regretted it. Grip. Clan leader Tang In-hei clenched his fists and glared at Mok Jiangun, saying, "You must know that they are truly innocent. Since I have revealed all the faults I have committed as you wanted, end it with my life alone." Tang In-hei had resigned himself to everything. Even if there were signs of division, he had no choice but to leave the rest to those who remained. The only thing he could do for them was to sacrifice himself. It was also the only way to wash away his faults, even if just a little. Step. Mok Jiangun walked towards him. Tang In-hei used his arms to support himself on the ground and straightened his back, wanting to show a dignified appearance in his final moments. "However, when did I say I would end it with just you?" For a moment, Tang In-hei couldn't hide his bewilderment. He had firmly believed that if he revealed that others were not involved and confessed his faults, he could end it with his sacrifice alone. "You bastard, what? I didn't say anything, so I don't know why you're making judgments and doing things on your own. How could you? Did I ever force you to do anything?" At that question, Tang In-hei was momentarily at a loss for words. Come to think of it, Mok Jiangun had only said that a tragedy would occur due to someone's fault, but he had never intentionally said or demanded anything afterward. He had simply killed the Tang clan members one by one. To torment him. Realizing this, Tang In-hei was suddenly seized by a sense of futility. Damn it! He had revealed all his faults in the hope that Mok Jiangun would spare the lives of the Tang clan members, so this situation felt even more miserable. It was like playing the drum and gong alone. Clan leader Tang In-hei raised his head and glared at Mok Jiangun with a murderous gaze. Realizing that all of this had been in vain, all the futility turned into anger, and it was directed at Mok Jiangun. Rumble. Tang In-hei soon drew upon his energy. What was the point of racking his brain and looking for opportunities at this point? It was better to draw upon his remaining energy and confront the bastard with the resolve to die together. "I'll kill you." He vowed to kill this bastard alone, even if it meant exhausting all the remaining formless poison. Simmer. The air around Tang In-hei wavered like a mirage. This occurred because the poisonous energy of the colorless and odorless formless poison had no special characteristics unlike other poisonous techniques. Thud. Tang In-hei soon pushed the ground with both hands. With that, his body soared nearly 7 jang in an instant. He had wanted to close the distance with the bastard as much as possible and seek an opportunity, but that was impossible anyway. Then even if it caused some damage, he had no choice but to use the sweeping strike that caused the widest range of damage to target the bastard. Formless poison technique. Poison origin extreme. Tang In-hei rotated his body and scattered the poisonous energy of the formless poison in all directions, as if using the Tang clan's secret technique, 1,000 flowers rain. Swish 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 swish. It was as if he was shooting projectile energy in all directions, and an invisible rippling something poured down like rain. The radius reached nearly 20 jang. Surprised by clan leader Tang In-hei's sudden action, the Tang clan warriors within that radius looked at him in disbelief. Clan leader. Is he really going to fight in that state? None of them had guessed that the clan leader would use a secret technique with the resolve to sacrifice them. They simply thought that since the situation had come to this, he was going to fight until the end. However. Swish 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 swish. The poisonous energy of the formless poison soon scattered like rain in all directions. Although it was an invisible and odorless poison, there was one thing that could be detected. It was the sound. What is that? Take cover. The Tang clan masters, sensing something flying towards them, shouted in panic. But it was already too late by the time they noticed. It was a secret technique unleashed with full power by Tang In-hei, the 1,000 poison hands, known as one of the 8 stars, the top masters of the martial arts world. Its speed was much faster than launching hidden weapons with martial power, so it wasn't something that could be dodged even if noticed. Swish 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 swish. The invisible poisonous energy of the formless poison soon struck everyone within the radius. Ugh. This is. The moment the poisonous energy touched them, the Tang clan warriors instinctively realized that it was poison. And when they realized that it was colorless and odorless, it's the formless poison. The clan leader unleashed the formless poison. This is insane. Everyone back away. Rumble. With their shouts, chaos ensued in an instant. The Tang clan warriors, who knew the terror of the formless poison better than anyone else, simultaneously used lightness skills and retreated backward. Since they had never properly witnessed the Tang clan's new secret technique, the formless poison technique, they couldn't estimate the range of this sweeping strike. However, its true nature was soon revealed. Arg. And my body. Soon red and black spots quickly appeared on the bodies of those poisoned by the formless poison, and they screamed in pain, unable to endure the agony. But the skin rash didn't progress slowly. Despite all of them being skilled in poison techniques, the skin began to melt away, starting from the areas where the rash had appeared. Sizzle. Ah. Save me. The melting skin soon exposed the flesh, muscles, and even the bones. The poisoning symptoms, progressing incomparably faster than any other poison, instantly turned the hall into a scene of hell. Thud. Ha ha ha. Finally, Tang clan leader Tang In-hei, who had unleashed the ultimate secret technique of the formless poison technique, landed on the ground. His face, supporting his body with both arms, was utterly miserable. Although it was solely to kill the bastard, even the dozens of Tang clan members within the radius of the sweeping strike had been poisoned by the formless poison. Please understand. The only secret technique that possessed both range and speed was the poison origin extreme, so there was no other way. In the first place, this technique was created to confront even supreme masters of the great master level. However, it had a fatal drawback. If there were allies within the radius, the damage couldn't be avoided. But there was no other choice now. If he could kill the bastard through this sacrifice, the Tang clan could overcome the worst crisis. At that moment, Tang In-hei's expression froze. While the ground turned black due to the aftermath of the formless poison and everyone's bodies were melting away, there was a single person unscathed in the center. This, how? It was none other than Ma Kejang. Chapter 344. To offer 5. Please, let me be close to my granddaughter. This old body begs you like this. The holy fire priestess, with tears in her eyes, clasped her hands together and pleaded to the heretic monk Jiamzhong, who was sitting on the driver's seat, sipping from a gourd filled with alcohol. She's crying quite a bit. Jiamzhong showed no interest in her yearning for her flesh and blood, not even giving her a glance, but inwardly his heart softened. Although he was capricious and overflowing with madness, it would be strange not to be swayed by an old woman crying out for her granddaughter. However, the masked Ma Arihayan coldly stopped him. If you don't want a bone broken somewhere, it's best not to move a single step from there. You're quite strict. He. Jiamzhong clicked his tongue at this. Unlike him, Ma Arihayan still held a grudge against the holy fire priestess. That's why he was even less likely to be swayed by emotions. What's the harm in letting her get close? I'm just following orders. Oh my, what a loyal subject you are. By the way, that guy is quite peculiar. What do you mean? Ma Arihayan looked puzzled and turned his gaze to where Jiamzhong gestured with his head. There Mujin was sitting comfortably with his eyes closed. He didn't seem to be practicing breathing techniques, so it was unclear what was so peculiar about him. However, a glint flashed in Ma Arihayan's eyes as he stared intently at Mujin. That's because despite his breathing not being as regular as when practicing breathing techniques, he could faintly feel energy gathering. Phew. As he had guessed, every time Mujin exhaled, natural energy was gathering little by little. It was something that should be absolutely impossible according to the common sense of martial artists. But for him who had inherited the bloodline of the Yu clan, it was like a natural constitution. Ahem. Mujin, who had been breathing, coughed. Blood stained the corners of his mouth as he coughed. Noticing this as he wiped it with the back of his hand, Mujin frowned. What's this? Why isn't it resolving? His body was so sturdy that he rarely got injured from ordinary occurrences, but even if it happened, it would heal quickly due to his clan's monstrous recovery ability. However, judging by the stinging sensation, his heart hadn't fully recovered. He could tell that the cause was the strange evil nature felt around the wound, but it wasn't dissipating as much as he had hoped. Strange. Normally, if he rested for a bit, other energies that had entered his body would leave. Even the energy that had flowed out from beneath the cliff had been expelled quickly. However, this evil nature remained, continuing to aggravate the wound and hinder his recovery. Should I return to the valley? It seemed to be a problem he couldn't solve on his own. With a sigh, Mujin opened his eyes. But then, flinch. Mujin looked towards the Tang clan's estate with narrowed eyes. He had tried to turn off his senses to focus on recovery, but the screams he had been hearing were now spreading like a scene from hell. What on earth was happening? Didn't he clearly say he would clarify the relationship of grudges? But why were there so many people suffering? Feeling uneasy at the sound, Mujin soon stood up. How did this happen? Tang clan leader Tang Inhe couldn't hide his bewilderment. He had clearly seen with his own eyes that Mok Jiangun couldn't escape the range. He had been certain that no matter how supreme a master was, they wouldn't be able to avoid the poison origin extreme, the ultimate secret technique of the formless poison technique, due to its incredibly wide range and fast-spreading speed. But why was the bastard unaffected? What's going on? Was he enduring the poisonous energy of the formless poison with his profound true energy? No matter how high a level of internal mastery one had, unless they reached the realm of a poison master, they couldn't withstand it to this extent. At that moment Mok Jiangun spoke. Is this the formless poison you used to kill my grandfather? Tang Inhe's eyes narrowed. It was all a bluff. If he had witnessed the tremendous power of this formless poison technique, he should have moved to quickly deal with Tang Inhe, but he wasn't moving a single step from where he stood. That meant he was definitely fighting against the formless poison. You're putting on a show. A show. Do you think I don't know that you're barely enduring it with your internal energy? Perhaps this was an opportunity. Tang Inhe tried to push the ground with both hands to launch himself towards Mok Jiangun. However, when he tried to push with his hands, thud, thud, his body didn't listen to him. Not only had he used all his strength, but he had also drawn upon his remaining energy to unleash the secret technique Poison Origin Extreme, so perhaps due to the aftereffects his remaining energy couldn't circulate properly. No other choice. It didn't matter. Even if it wasn't him, there were plenty of others to take his place. This place was the Tang clan's stronghold after all. Thus Tang Inhe shouted towards the Tang clan warriors. This is our chance. Strike him. Pover. Despite his order as the clan leader, neither the Tang clan executives nor any of the warriors showed any intention of moving. What are you doing? He's been afflicted by the formless poison and can't even move. Strike him now. There was no response to his urging. Rather, the Tang clan warriors were looking elsewhere with stiff expressions. Seeing their reaction, Tang Inhe was dumbfounded. Were they going to miss this golden opportunity? Why wasn't anyone stepping forward? Clap, clap, clap. At that moment, Mok Jiangun clapped his hands and spoke in an admiring tone. Impressive. What? Sacrificing so many clan members just to kill that one person. Isn't this what they call burning down the house to catch a flea? At Mok Jiangun's mocking words, Tang Inhe's eyes wavered. He had unleashed the secret technique with the sole intention of killing Mok Jiangun, so he hadn't paid attention to anything else. But the moment he heard Mok Jiangun's words, he suddenly became aware of his surroundings. The Tang clan members, melting away and dying miserably due to the formless poison. The expressions and gazes of the other Tang clan members watching them were changing from dejection to anger. Realizing the hateful gazes of the Tang clan members directed at him at some point, Tang Inhe found it difficult to even know where to look. Why are they looking at me like that? If they were disappointed because of those who were sacrificed, he could understand. However, this was the only way. This bastard would not spare anything related to Tang Inhe, who had killed Zhang Munno of the Heong sect who had raised him. That's why if he could subdue the bastard with the deaths of a few, it would have been a valuable sacrifice. But why did no one understand him? Why couldn't they think rationally and see? The expression of feeling wronged is quite a sight. Are you expecting understanding after abandoning and killing your clan members with your own hands? You. Nash. Tang Inhe gritted his teeth and turned his head to glare at Mok Jiangun. It was all because of that bastard. None of this would have happened if that bastard hadn't appeared. Driven to the edge by the hatred and resentment of the Tang clan members, whom he had considered his blood relatives and family, All of Tang In-hei's anger was directed at Mok Jiong'un. Yes. Everything happened because you showed up. Now you're blaming me. You bastard. Trembling with rage, Tang In-hei finally gathered his remaining energy. And he launched himself towards Mok Jiong'un. Whoosh. Die. The bastard who couldn't even move while enduring the formless poison dared to mock the clan leader? Fine. Since it had come to this, I'll take you with me as my final companion. It didn't matter if no one understood. Hover. Thud. Tang In-hei's body, which had launched forward, suddenly stopped in midair. It was as if someone had grabbed him. Tang In-hei's eyes widened. What was happening? He had thought that the bastard wouldn't be able to move while enduring the formless poison. Step. At that moment, Mok Jiong'un took a step forward. Step. And he took another step. No, he was continuously walking towards him. Seeing Mok Jiong'un walking casually, Tang In-hei couldn't believe it. How? How I understand. What do you mean? From a young age, my grandfather fed me various medicinal herbs and poisonous plants. At that time, I ate them without knowing any better, but at some point he told me that my blood had become the epitome of deadly poison. Blood? Becoming deadly poison? At those words, Tang In-hei displayed an expression of disbelief. Naturally, the bodies of those who cultivated poisonous techniques had some accumulation of poisonous energy. However, no matter how long one had cultivated poison and had talent in it, the human body was inherently incompatible with poison, so they also had to cultivate detoxifying energy to counteract it. To avoid being consumed by the poison. Impossible. Blood possessing toxicity. When poisonous techniques reach the ultimate level and one can freely control poisonous energy, that state is called a poison master. But is that really the end? What do you all think? It was a question posed by Tang Yunzhong, the Thousand Poison Hands, the clan leader from 2 generations ago, while giving his final teachings a few days before his duel with Baekyu, the master of the 10,000 poisons. In response to this question, Tang In-hei's father, the previous clan leader, answered. Isn't the constitution that can internalize 10,000 poisons, the 10,000 poison pool body, the true end? That is literally a deformed constitution that may appear once in 1,000 years. It's not a realm that can be achieved through human effort. Are there no other answers? No one could answer his question. At that time, that guy Zhang Munno stepped forward. Yes. What do you think? Since resistance also requires opposition, if everything that constitutes the body gradually adapts and becomes close to poison, wouldn't that be the real poison master? Oh. The body's composition becoming close to poison. For example, what if even the blood flowing in the body becomes poison? At his words, Tang In-hei and all the main family members eligible for succession in the Tang clan sneered. If that were possible, who wouldn't have done it? The human body couldn't become poison itself. It could become a structure that endured or adapted to poison, but becoming close to poison itself was an impossibility. Until now he had believed that. However, that can't be. How can the flowing blood become poison itself? It's absolutely impossible. Grip. At that moment, Mok Jiong'un grabbed his mouth. Then he spoke in a menacing voice. If it's hard to believe, it would be good to experience it once. What? Grip. Mok Jiong'un tightly clenched his fist, causing the flesh to sink in. Then thick blood flowed out. What are you doing? Mok Jiong'un let the blood flowing from his clenched fist drip into Tang In-hei's mouth, which he had forcibly opened. The blood flowed into Tang In-hei's mouth. He wanted to spit it out, but he couldn't stop it from flowing down his throat as Mok Jiong'un was gripping his mouth. As the blood flowed down his throat and entered his esophagus, sizzle. The pain of his esophagus burning came. Tang In-hei's eyes wavered crazily. Impossible. It was really poison. How did blood become poison itself? He couldn't believe it. But what shocked him even more was Ak. He had prided himself on being immune to any poison after mastering the formless poison technique. However, the deadly poison that had entered through his esophagus rapidly induced poisoning symptoms in his body, and it was so agonizing that he couldn't endure it. But then a bizarre event occurred. Pop. Pop. Starting from Tang In-hei's face, the blood vessels on his entire body swelled up and eventually burst. It didn't end there. A strange sound of bones snapping could be heard from inside his body. Crack. Crunch. Arg. It was so painful that Tang In-hei couldn't help but scream like a madman. At this, Mok Jae-un released his grip on Tang In-hei's mouth and stepped back about 3 steps. It was to observe his condition. Ugh. Tang In-hei's body, which had fallen to the ground, was twisting grotesquely. Seeing this, Mok Jae-un couldn't hide his bewilderment. After mastering the destructive demon poison scripture, the poisonous energy in his body had indeed become stronger, but poisoning symptoms didn't occur in this manner. However, Tang In-hei's blood vessels were bursting, and even his bones were twisting. Ack! Crunch! With his bones twisting to the point of protruding here and there, Tang In-hei looked at Mok Jae-un. His eyes seemed to be pleading for his life. Seeing him like this, Mok Jae-un curled the corners of his mouth bitterly. I thought it was my role to kill you, but it seems that's not the case. What are you saying now? It's not your role? At that moment, Tang In-hei suddenly recalled the words Jang Mun-no had said. You won't tell me where you hid it until the end. Puff. Do you think I won't be able to find it even if you act like this? Cough cough. For the sake of old times, I'm telling you. Don't touch that child. All that resentment will eventually come back to you. At that time he had dismissed it as a dying man spewing curses. But those were not just empty words. The poison contained in this bastard's blood was in complete opposition to him. That's why his body was failing to endure it even more. Jang Mun-no. Crunch. Crunch. With his blood vessels bursting and bones twisting, Tang In-hei's neck finally snapped, and he breathed his last. Watching his miserable end with a dispassionate gaze, Mok Jae-un looked up at the sky and muttered. You had it all planned out. Chapter 345, To Offer 6. It was a hideous and utterly miserable end. The death of clan leader Tang In-hei. When the head of a clan, the greatest elder and leader, dies, it would be common for the shock, grief and anger to spread throughout the entire clan. However, this death brought about a sense of dejection instead. Despite the worst enemy threatening the Tang clan's existence killing the clan leader, none of them could express their rage. There were 2 reasons for this. The first was that the root of all this lay in clan leader Tang In-hei's hidden secrets. Upon learning this truth, despite being a martial clan centered around blood relations, they couldn't hide their disappointment in the clan leader to the point where opinions were sharply divided between the main family, branch families and side families. And the second. This was the most decisive factor. The clan leader had not only tried to abandon them and flee but had also driven the Tang clan members to death even more than the enemy. It was evident just by looking at the miserable scene in the rear courtyard. As a result, none of the Tang clan members stepped forward to avenge the clan leader's death. Of course, there was a third reason that prevented them from taking action. Gulp. The Tang clan members looked at Mok Jae-un with tense expressions. Thanks to clan leader Tang In-hei's confession, they knew why he had invaded the Tang clan. Therefore, they understood where his vengeance stemmed from and how great it was. The killing intent hasn't died out. This is ominous. The atmosphere surrounding Mok Jae-un, who had his eyes closed and was looking up at the sky, was unsettling. Even though he had killed clan leader Tang In-hei, who could be considered the root cause, the killing intent emanating from him was still ominous, making it impossible for them to lower their guard. Swish. At that moment, Mok Jae-un lowered his head and opened his eyes. Seeing this, the Tang clan members' hands naturally reached for their weapons and hidden weapons. Until now, all the anger had been directed at the clan leader, but now that he was dead, there was no telling how Mok Jae-un would act. The best-case scenario would be for him to stop his revenge here. It was at that moment when they were tense with a glimmer of hope. Is there anyone here who was with the clan leader when he killed my grandfather or heard something about it? At Mok Jae-un's question, everyone fell silent. That's because they had also just learned that the clan leader had secretly committed such a brazen act behind the backs of the Tang clan members. Moreover, even if they had known this fact, who would dare to reveal it? That would only provoke that monster's anger. As everyone remained silent, Mok Jae-un clicked his tongue as if disappointed and spoke. I wanted to torment him a bit more since he had done something and hear directly from his mouth about the circumstances at that time, but I didn't expect him to die so easily after drinking the blood poison. Mok Jae-un's original plan was like that. He had intended to torment Tang In-hei both physically and mentally until he begged to be killed. However, whether intentionally or to protect Mok Jaeongun, thanks to his grandfather's arrangement, Tang In-hae's breath had been cut off after drinking the blood poison. Of course, he had experienced extreme agony, but Mok Jaeongun inwardly felt it was insufficient. Does anyone know? Well, even if you do, it's unlikely you'll open your mouth easily. I would keep my mouth shut too if I were you. The air grows heavy. Although he speaks in a light tone while shrugging his shoulders, the atmosphere is far from it. Feels like it could explode at any moment. Then, as Mok Jaeongun grasped his sword fingers, the two demonic swords, fearsome slaughter and fearsome killing, naturally emerged from his waist. Float, float. Seeing the two demonic swords floating like swimming fish, the Tang clan members' faces turned pale. It was sword control with energy. Mok Jaeongun looked at them with a smile and said, "This is fortunate. I was just wanting to vent my anger a bit more. Let me offer a proper funeral song to my grandfather with your screams." Shudder. At those words, everyone felt a chill run down their spines, making their hair stand on end. Was he determined to end things with the Tang clan? It was at that very moment. Thud. Suddenly, something heavy fell from the sky. Everyone's attention was simultaneously drawn there. The one who had abruptly landed, bending one knee before standing up, was none other than Yu Clan. It was Mujin. Mujin's appearance brought a glimmer of relief to the faces of those who knew him. They had been puzzled when they suddenly disappeared in the middle of their fight. But now that he had appeared at this critical juncture, they couldn't help but have a flicker of hope. However, Mujin's expression receiving their expectation was not very pleasant. That's because the rear courtyard was a miserable sight, reminiscent of a hell painting, filled with blood and unrecognizable corpses. Frowning as he looked at this, Mujin's gaze naturally turned to Mok Jaeongun. His appearance, smiling amidst this hellish bloodbath, was utterly chilling. Grip. Seeing this, Mujin bit his lip tightly. After learning the circumstances, he had considered it an internal matter of the Tang clan and had decided not to interfere further. Since the culprit was clear and there was some connection, he had no doubt that this person would end his revenge at an appropriate point. However, that had led to the worst outcome. Mujin regretted his own judgment and choice. My judgment was wrong. Click, click, click. Mujin turned the ratchet of the force-suppressing bracelet. As the ratchet reached the fourth stage, his muscles swelled and turned red and white steam rose from his skin. Whoosh. Mujin intended to keep turning it without stopping. Hover. Clank. The ratchet wouldn't turn. It seemed to be because the injury to his heart hadn't healed. No other way. He knew that just the fourth stage of the force-suppressing bracelet release was insufficient to deal with Mok Jaeongun, but there was no other way for now. Mok Jaeongun spoke to him. I remember we agreed that you wouldn't interfere. If you had ended it at an appropriate point, that would be the case. But from what I see now, it seems you'll have to kill all the Tang clan members to end it. Whether it will be all of them or not, who knows? I was stupid to trust you even a little. Regardless of whether you were related to the Tang clan or not, I should have settled it somehow earlier. If you had, you wouldn't be breathing until now. At Mok Jaeongun's words, Mujin closed his mouth. Indeed, if it hadn't been about the three-eyed, he might have lost his life at Mok Jaeongun's hands. So he had nothing to refute. However, as long as he was alive, he couldn't leave the Tang clan members to be slaughtered. Crack. Creak. The biceps and forearms of Mujin's right arm bulged greatly. In his current state, if Mok Jaeongun used that technique of concentrating power into a single point, it would be difficult to block it properly, so he had no choice but to quickly decide the match with all his might. Rumble. Watching him focus his strength into his right arm, Mok Jaeongun spoke in a dispassionate voice. If you unleash your power without proper control like that, you'll commit the same fault as the Tang clan leader. The same fault. You can see it, can't you? Mok Jaeongun swept his gaze around the surroundings. Seeing this, Mujin's eyes wavered. What do you mean by that? I haven't done much yet, to be honest. Almost all the blood staining this place is the Tang clan leader's work. At those words, Mujin displayed an expression of disbelief. Why would the Tang clan leader do such a thing? Mujin denied those words. Lies. No matter what, why would the Tang clan leader do that to his own clan members? He abandoned them all and tried to flee, so why would he make a fuss about some of them dying? At Mok Jaeongun's words, Mujin looked at the Tang clan members. He hoped at least one of them would deny it, but they all remained silent. Thanks to that, Mujin realized it was the truth. What an incredible guy. To think he would do such a thing until the very end. It made even the family precept of protecting them feel futile. Should he say it made him lose motivation? But then, well, what's important isn't really who killed them, right? Since you came to stop me anyway, there's no need to drag this out. Rumble. Mujin's eyes moved. He could feel energy gathering in Mok Jaeongun's two demonic swords floating with sword control with energy. He was blatantly gathering power with the demonic swords. This was a kind of threat. But what surprised Mujin even more was, he has already recovered his energy to this extent? He clicked his tongue inwardly. Unlike himself, Mok Jaeongun had been moving without a moment's rest. Yet he had recovered his energy to nearly half the level of when they had fought with all their might. If they were to fight now, he would be defeated before long. However, there was no choice. If he left, they would all die. It was at that very moment. Please stop. At that moment, a middle-aged man among the Tang clan stepped forward. Mok Jaeongun, without taking his eyes off Mujin, asked, "Who are you?" "I am Tang In-hu, the commander of the clan leader's guard." "The commander of the clan leader's guard? Then you must be quite close to the clan leader." "You could say that. Then you must have always been by the clan leader's side." "Not always. That's why I only learned about everything the clan leader did now." "The clan leader's guard commander only learned about what the clan leader did now?" It may be hard to believe, but whenever the clan leader carried out something in secret, he didn't trust anyone around him. So there were many things he hid even from me, the guard commander. Mok Jaeongun scoffed. "Then what do you even know?" At that question, Guard Commander Tang In-hu hesitated for a moment before carefully speaking. "I heard that the clan leader used the formless poison on Jang Mun-no. And the clan leader was a man of many secrets, but when practicing martial arts he needed a training partner, so I had to watch over him. That's why I know that after the clan leader used the formless poison, perhaps due to the aftereffects, red spots would appear on his neck." Swish. As soon as he finished speaking, Mok Jaeongun's figure had already reached in front of him. Suddenly appearing before his eyes, Guard Commander Tang In-hu flinched under the pressure, but he endured it and didn't avoid his gaze. "Please continue. Before that, please make an agreement first." "An agreement?" "Yes. The clan leader's actions were truly unknown to all the Tang clan members. So you're not responsible? If being of the same blood is a crime, it could be considered a crime, but we were practically abandoned by the clan leader. How distraught do you think we are? But if a supreme master of the great master level like you says you'll kill us, we Tang clan members have no choice but to fight for our lives. However, to be honest, we don't want the entire clan to be sacrificed because of the clan leader's faults." Mok Jaeongun's eyes glinted at Tang In-hu's words, revealing his true feelings without deceit. With that, Mok Jaeongun, who had been staring intently at him, looked at the Tang clan members who were extremely tense. They were genuinely terrified of Mok Jaeongun. He had considered killing the rest of them to offer as a funeral song for his grandfather, but he soon lost interest. Swish. He withdrew the energy he had been gathering in the two demonic swords. Noticing this first, Mujin let out a sigh of relief. If Mok Jaeongun had been determined to kill them to the end, a massive slaughter would have occurred, making it impossible for the Tang clan to recover. Should I say it's fortunate? It was a strange feeling to be included in that fortune. But then Mok Jaeongun spoke. "All right. If you tell me what you know, let's wrap things up here. But, I don't really like leaving loose ends." "Loose ends? What can we possibly do to make you say that?" "There's a saying that a gentleman's revenge is not too late even after 10 years. That's how I came this far too." Less than half a year ago, Mok Jaeongun hadn't even practiced martial arts. But now he possessed tremendous martial prowess that could determine the fate of the entire Tang clan. With his own greatest example, he had no intention of taking this lightly. "What exactly do you want us to do?" "I learned something from somewhere. It seems like a good method." "What is it?" "Seal your gates. For about 60 years. As soon as those words were spoken, the Tang clan was in an uproar. They had wondered what he would demand, but they never expected him to tell them to seal their gates. Sealing the gates literally meant closing the gates, signifying that a sect or martial clan acknowledged their defeat and severed their activities with the outside world. Moreover, 60 years meant a full cycle of the sexagenary cycle in nearly 2 generations. Going this far was no different from severing all possible future repercussions. How can he make such a demand? Guard Commander Tang In, who couldn't hide his perplexity. He had only been concerned about saving everyone's lives from a supreme master of the 6 heavens level, even if he was just one person. Who would have imagined that he would make a demand as if they had fought and lost to an entire organization? At Mok Jiongun's tremendous demand, even Mujin was surprised and tried to speak. In the end he closed his mouth. If Mok Jiongun decided to kill them all right now, there was no way to stop him. Pride might be hurt, but that wouldn't substitute for their lives. The decision was solely up to them. Swish. At this moment, Guard Commander Tang In-hu, who had been perplexed by Mok Jiongun's words, looked at the Tang clan executives with difficulty. Their faces were twisted with humiliation and bitterness. However, if they refused to accept this demand, the outcome was predetermined. Thus, the executives nodded their heads. Sighs escaped from here and there. How could the Sichuan Tang clan, a part of the Righteous Alliance, one of the 7 great families and known as the Overlord of Sichuan, suffer such humiliation? Leaving behind their bitterness, Guard Commander Tang In-hu opened his mouth with difficulty. It was hard for him to continue speaking, but as the current representative of the negotiation, he had to bring it to a conclusion. We will accept your demand and conditions. Then make the declaration of defeat first. Grip. Tang In-hu bit his lip tightly and spoke again. We still don't know who you are. So what should we call you? At his question, Mok Jiongun paused for a moment. Should he say Zhong, since this was a place to tie up the grudge with his grandfather? Or should he use the name Mok Jiongun, which he used in the Heaven and Earth Society? However, once the declaration of defeat was made, that name would quickly spread, so using both wouldn't be appropriate. The Heavenly Demon, Chioma. He said Chioma just like at Shaolin. At this, Tang In-hu took a deep breath with a bitter face and shouted loudly, infusing his internal energy. We, the Sichuan Tang clan, acknowledge our defeat to Sir Heavenly Demon and declare that we will seal our clan for 60 years as the price.